Alright guys, welcome to the 42nd episode of Below the Bar.
In this episode, expect to find out how Viagra accidentally came into existence, why most people are overtraining in the gym,
And what would happen if Eddie tried to join the Royal Marines?
let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to another Q&A.
Another Q&A.
If-
People like these though.
If in doubt, do another Q&A. That's
Yeah.
what I've learned.
And we're back in the bar, so there's no dog to distract you all.
Yeah, Luna, unfortunately, has been permanently barred.
Expedited from the studio.
Yeah. So she won't be joining us again, unfortunately.
No, she's not earned a return visit. So I've driven back especially to record this podcast for all of you lovely people. So I'll be going back to Manchester tomorrow. We've got 10 questions, I believe.
Yeah, we've got 10 questions, no segments. This is just hardcore. We're going to go through them
Straight
all.
in.
Straight in.
No fucking
off
messing
the
around.
bat. And these are your anonymous questions as well. And I think moving forward, we're going to use this format more because I think we've got more candid questions.
Yield some better responses.
Yeah, because I think
Okay.
people, now, as soon as people realise they didn't have to hide behind...
Faceless.
Yeah, and as soon as they realised they were faceless,
Yeah.
they showed their true colours.
Okay, interesting. I haven't done that on one of my Instagrams yet. I might do that. See what I
Yeah,
get-
there
see
are a
what I get
few
through.
people that I follow that do it, and they get some pretty interesting questions.
Cool. Okay, well, I haven't seen these. Full disclosure.
This is blind.
Blind quizzes again. And these are non-military specific.
Yeah, so I've triaged the questions. So we've got a non-military prep Q&A, which is this one, and then we'll do another lift in the lid Q&A at some point because
So stay tuned for that.
basically your followers can't resist a military prep
love it.
question, mate. They love it.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. Let's straight in. Let's
Right,
do it.
okay. So straight off the bat, how much bagging off did you lads do in Texas and interrailing? That's unfortunate.
Confidential
for you.
information. Well, I don't know. Where do you want to start? We didn't do that much in Interrail actually at all.
Well, I'll start. None. There you go.
You just dispelled so many myths there around.
Yeah, people thought I was a Lothario,
Yeah.
a natural born shagger.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm a shell of a man.
Eddie, I don't know what. Eddie's been celibate for fucking 18 months.
In fairness, this is a conscious choice.
Yeah.
I'm not one of these desperate blokes who just can't get any.
No.
I do bat it away.
Yeah, you batted away.
Not
Don't know about that.
not sound big headed, but ultimately I am not interested.
Yeah, you just don't pursue.
in these vacuous women.
Don't pursue it, do you? I guess.
That's good because you ended that sentence and then realised that you then had to talk about yourself.
Yeah.
And you had nothing.
And then I paused because I didn't really know how to go into that. I'll let you do it. Why not? It's funny. It's funnier that way.
How can we describe your sexual endeavours
So
in a positive light?
it's funny, right? Because you think there's an awful comparison going on here. As we've said,
It's like the virgin whore dichotomy, isn't it?
as we've said, Eddie is fucking not interested. So any interest I show is instantly bumped to the top of the charts of horniness. However, I was with another individual this weekend, one of the lads. Bro, you would have been fucking bewildered as to his level of testosterone going around his body. He's like a red-blooded animal.
A red-blooded male,
Like some would
as
say.
a friend of the podcast would
Yeah,
say.
yeah. But I mean, he's mental, mate. So if I think he's mental, think about that. So I mean, just to kind of back this off a little bit, I'm not that bad, people.
If you thought he was horny, then he must
Men's
have
bro.
issues.
So I'm not going to name him, but let me just give you a little bit of context here. Okay. Screen time, 12 hours. Okay.
Right, what's the breakdown of that?
So between
12 hours a day?
Yeah, literally.
What?
No, literally between Hinge, Tinder. That's it. So you can now send voice notes on Hinge. So we'd be walking, or like in town or whatever, and just hear him gobbing off. He's sending random voice to like random birds. He treats it like a business, mate. It's wild. He spent more time talking to random birds than I did talking to my clients.
Fucking Tinder lead gen.
Literally, I was like, I'm gonna get you on my team to fucking do my lead gen if you're this good. I was like, all I've got to do is incentivise you with like, I don't know, prosy.
What birds?
Prosy.
Well, they'd be like white gold, mate.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
New sales
New
target.
sales team.
Get some prozzies in.
I was like, you are relentless. We sat there at like dinner. He's like voice noting these birds. But anyway, yeah, I'm not allowed to talk about certain things on this podcast. I've been told by one of my clients, haven't I?
Well, make of that what you will.
No, I wasn't I wasn't horrendous.
No, you're not.
I went on a night out and I met an individual, and then we had a amazing love affair. You know, it's fun. It was romantic. It was great.
Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Spare me your blushes.
And then we spanned the other one from Interrailing on the podcast before. That was like last summer, and
Mr. Softy Top.
Softy Top. Oh, you.
Yeah.
yeah. So that was when we met two German girls, and they drove us to Prague, and then we went on a night out with them. So
yeah,
we've
already spun that. So if you wanna know how that went down, then go and watch the Interrailing episode that it was from.
Yeah. So that would have been Prague, I guess. It would have been the one about Prague, right? So it's probably in the title. So,
yeah. But from my end, anyway, basically, because I'm so deeply traumatised, again, we'll reference the relationships episode, I now can't be arsed with women.
Yeah,
or anyone for that matter.
Your activation energy's gone.
I just dislike people.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? That's why he gobs off just to me in a shed.
I don't really. But yeah, I can take. I'm not really into the one night stand thing. So
no, yeah, and I can take it or leave it, to be honest. But I thought, we're in Texas. Let's have a good time. So yeah, that was Texas. But I think
we're having a hoedown.
I'm down, but I'm not a hoe. Another Partridge reference there. I wonder how many people get the Partridgeisms.
I don't know. There's
Probably
definitely someone
few.
out there. Even if it's just for our entertainment, I will continue to do them.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I think we've comprehensively
addressed
that with
I've tried to
a fair amount of redacted information.
Yeah, a bit of fucking head movement there. You know what I mean?
Bit of hard targeting.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Number 2. Very, very change of paces. Would you rather fight 10 angry geese or 1 grizzly bear?
10 angry geese. Oh, no. I don't know, man. Geese. I was just thinking then. I thought 10 angry geese is the obvious answer. And then walking the doggo the other day, you have to walk past loads of geese, and they hiss at you, mate. So if they're threaders, they're getting you.
So we need to unpack this, because this intrigued me.
Yeah.
And it did make me do some research on the matter.
Nice.
Right, okay. So apparently the average grizzly bear can shift about 500 kegs.
Ooh.
Which sounds impressive, but that's basically just body weight.
Yeah. But I mean,
which is still impressive.
It's like scrapping fucking Eddie Hall with claws.
Yeah. And swans, apparently, a bit saft.
Really?
Yeah. Not my words, the words of John Huston of the Abbotsbury Swanery in Dorset. Right, and I'll quote, it's a myth that a swan will break your leg or arm with their wings. They are not that strong, and it's mostly show and bluster.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
well, fucking...
So he's just
swans
outed.
it is.
He's outed his own people there.
Because I do feel like they are at the right height for a volley. Aren't they? Like, they're just elevated off the floor slightly, so you could tee them up. It's like being on a little rugby tee, innit?
Where would you volley it? So like picture the scene, like they've spread their wings, like their heads up and out. So you've got so you can go headshot, which is a harder target.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere down the
centre of mass.
Anywhere down the centre mass, which is obviously the easier option.
Yeah.
That's probably a good volley height.
That is a good volley height. I'm not sure you get much clearance because you have to go no backlift there.
If you just volleyed its head though, you'd probably just like break
Brown
its
it out.
neck.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, I reckon you go like roundhouse kick to the head, or like head and neck area. Bash! And if you like do a chop down kick, but then that's one squared. What about the other 9?
Yeah, true. We're dealing with 10 here.
Yeah.
While you're taking him out, his mates have fucking got round you.
Well,
And not in that way.
Not in the good way. If they're if they are as saft as our mate says, then we ain't got anything to worry about. Have you? They're just gobbing off, and you just like taking them out as they come.
A bit jack that.
It does feel a bit like
that's like
slaughter,
in a night out when two lads are scrapping, and then their mates are all just like squaring up to each other, but not getting stuck in.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a bit like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
When your mate's getting filled in, and you're just giving it the invisible lat syndrome.
Lat syndrome.
Not actually helping him out.
Sounds like swans have got a bit of invisible lat syndrome going on. But no, I think you take the swans all day. Bears scare the shit out of me, mate. Angry bears are fucking mental, mate. They can do whatever.
I'd take the
Rip you
swan
apart.
because realistically, even if the swans attack you, if they can't break your arm or your leg with their wings, what are they going to do? Peck you? I mean, it would hurt. It's not going to kill you. A bear would kill you.
A bear would like rip you apart though.
And
I think they're a bit jack as well. I don't think they like go for the jugular. I think they like proper rip you to shreds.
don't they like maim you? Is that a bear? Just for like their own entertainment?
That's definitely orangutans or like
Right.
the ape generation, the ape sort of people.
Turn
But,
into
like,
Natural Geographic. This has.
they will definitely do that. So they know what fucking hurts, and they will like break your fingers and like snap your cock off and shit like that.
Sadistic.
They are, no, they are. And then because they're like they're like 98% human or whatever, so they fucking know, and they're like, that hurts him, let's fuck him up. But I think bears do like they want to like tear your midsection open. I think that's them, and so you obviously die, but not very quick.
Yes, you don't want a bear attack. And the thing is, you can't outrun a bear either. Because I think that over short distance, I reckon they're pretty quick.
I think they're quick over most distances compared to a human.
And then you couldn't outclimb it either.
That's the thing, innit? Because if you think, okay,
Most people
I'm going to get away from a bear, I'll climb.
That's the worst thing you can do.
Because then they'll climb up and just throw you out of the tree.
And then rip your intestines out.
Yeah, fantastic. Not a great Wednesday, is it? There was that. Remember that cocaine bear? We were watching that.
I think it was on Gogglebox, wasn't it? So they were showing us like the highlights of it.
Yeah, this bear had fucking snorted loads of gear, and he was going absolutely mental. Yeah. So
that was factual.
Exactly. Yeah. So bears, scary and full of coke.
Yeah, so fight 10 angry geese because they're basically.
If you're ever in that situation, that didichotomy there,
you got
to run one way.
If you're ever in that unique situation, then
it's pretty unique.
I'm sure your first fucking thought would be our advice.
Well, let's hope so.
Right, okay, number 3. Does Eddie think his shitty liberal politics will compensate for him being a small ginger?
Who asked this?
I
can hazard a few guesses.
Yeah, well, there's definitely a hit list, isn't there? We've got a lot of people
out to get, and they're on the right.
Yeah.
Let's face it. Well, only you can answer that, I guess. Are we going to go down another socialism rant here? Is this where
I just thought about it. I won't. I'll refrain. The thing is, right, if attaching yourself to the Labour Party makes me a shitty liberal, then so be it. Because I think in the
not even that left.
Because I think in the current climate, that's a better option than being attached to the fucking dumpster fire that is currently in government.
Well, I think back in the day, you could make an argument for the Labour being really left, or even back when it was like Winston Churchill, they were like basically socialist, the Labour Party. Now they've come almost full circle, and they've just come into the centre. So now they're like centre left, or maybe not even that.
Well, they're not even because the Conservative Party's gone so far to the right to readdress the balance. Labour's had to go with it a bit.
Let's chase it a little bit.
So they're actually now just centrist.
Well, exactly. So, like you say, attaching yourself to the Labour Party traditionally is a left position, but it's not really. It's more central. And there's no excuse for attaching yourself to the Conservative Party because they're just shit. Which
objectively
shit.
Yeah, which are objectively shit, and as we have already discussed, is a dumpster fire.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, there's no thought architecture you can go down that's gonna take you to a point where you think, okay, the Conservatives have done a great job here.
Yeah.
Okay, like how? They've got COVID wrong, they've got Brexit wrong, they've got every little challenge they've had to deal with wrong.
They broke our nukes.
Yeah.
Broke the army.
Reference last.
The two things that they're always historically good at, they've broken.
Trident
the
army.
economy and the military.
Yeah.
So if you can't even get your basics squared away.
Yeah, world-class basics. You know what I mean?
Do the basics well and consistently.
Get Ollie March on him. He'd be great.
He will be great at anything.
You'd have to pay him a lot because probably.
Yeah, because he's making bank.
Yeah, as we know, he's money motivated. Just listen to his podcast.
Yeah,
he was like, most of it was him saying, rugby was good, but I didn't get any money, so I wanted to start my own business like fair.
That's good. Well, he's got a lot in common with the cabinet.
Yeah,
because they're all out for themselves.
Yeah,
well.
true. Yeah.
Right, okay, let's address that.
Yeah,
without going on down a rabbit hole.
Too much of a rabbit hole. But yeah, like to take home, to round off, if you do attach yourself very heavily to the Conservative Party, you're just kind of blind, aren't you? Really?
Yeah, and ask yourself this: do you really want to be on the wrong side of history?
It's that footballification of politics makes so much sense to me when people talk about it. If you're still attached to the Conservative Party, it's because people view it as like an ideological attachment rather than think about it objectively.
Yeah, because I think that people kind of attach a lot of their identity to who they vote for, or historically anyway.
Yeah, so James O'Brien talks about the footballification in terms of people obviously have a team in football and they stick to that team regardless of what happens. If you support fucking West Bromwich Albion, you're going to support them if they're top of the league, bottom of the league, wherever. If they're doing shit, if they've got like shit ownership, because of your, whatever upbringing, whatever, you're going to attach yourself to them. The same happens in politics where you're brought up as a conservative and you're like, well, whatever happens, you're going to fucking support the Conservatives, even if they break the country, even if they're fucking terrible at everything they're supposed to be good at. You can't have that attitude in politics. That's not how it works.
Exactly, it doesn't work. So if West Bromwich Albion lose, you go home and your life doesn't change.
Yeah.
If you staunchly stick by a shit political party that you keep voting into power, and suddenly your house isn't worth anything, you don't have a job, and the whole country's gone to pot, then that is an issue.
It's quite an issue for you, and you've got no pension.
Yeah, exactly. So there's two different kettle of fish there, isn't it?
Well, exactly, but it's just it's kind of the same
mindset,
thought process and mindset that people use for both, isn't it? Which is interesting, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. Number 4, is there such thing as overtraining? And following that, what's the best way to deal with the regret of feeling that you could do more?
Interesting. So the best way to deal is overtraining a thing? Yes, I think there's a little bit of a. Oh, there used to be. I think it's probably been smashed a little bit now. There was a bit of a myth that overtraining wasn't a thing. You're a pussy if you think overtraining is a thing. But there is definitely a point in time where the amount you do is no longer beneficial. It's now just diminishing returns. That is overtraining because you're now still putting effort into something for getting zero return, which makes no sense, and you're only further facilitating fatigue rather than getting any stimulus. So there's always a stimulus to fatigue ratio with anything you do. If you're striking that balance well, then you're building, recovering well, and you're going on this little staircase. If you're not striking that balance well, then you're doing the opposite in terms of you're doing too much and not recovering enough, too much not recovering enough, and so you're always going down the staircase, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, from our end in the fitness industry, this is where junk volume comes into it.
Yeah.
I've got a real bee in my bonnet about junk volume at the minute, because it's just fucking lazy programming.
It's lazy programming. It's kind of lazy application as well from like the practitioner's end.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of like it's the fitness equivalent of the just work harder argument in kind of like economics. Yeah,
jobs. Yeah, true.
Because you've just not listened to your client. You've not taken on board like their preferences, their needs. Because ideally, you want to find like the minimum effective dose, don't you?
Yeah. So obviously, and that's from a coach's perspective, but even from an individual's perspective, I think you can have a lot of people who prioritize a lot of time. I see a lot of the issue actually of prioritizing volume over intensity. This is huge, I think. So like people will often think, okay, I train 6 days a week, I must be doing enough. But if you look at their training sessions, their RPE 3 or their whatever, there's no tempo, there's no actual execution of the reps, and we're all guilty of it to a certain extent. No one, every single rep is dialed in, but the more you can be, the better you're going to be off for it. But like, if you're going into the gym 9 sessions a week and thinking that just in
that
isolation
in of itself
is enough, like you have to look at what you're doing in those sessions, because intensity is the biggest driver of success in everything. If you're not close to failure in any of those sets, you may as well not have fucking done anything.
Well, yeah.
That's legit as well.
Well, ask yourself this, right? So if 2 people are working for the same goal and one person managed to achieve it in half the time, training 3 days a week, compared to the other person who did it in double the time, training 6 days a week, then who's got the better program there? You don't get bonus points because you train 6 days a week. No,
and the thing is, what's harder to fuel and what's harder to adhere to? Obviously the 6 days a week, 7 days a week thing. A lot of people come to me. Certainly, there's a big thing in military prep with this, where you think because you're doing something hard in the future, you have to just absolutely smash yourself. So people come to me and they're nailing themselves. They're like doing like 9 sessions a week. And it's like, we just pull this back a little bit, make these more pointed, make these more intense, make these sessions actually count for something. We can do 5 sessions a week and get fucking the same benefit.
Yeah, I think there's a weird stigma around training like less, if you know what I mean. I think people
feel like this second part of this question, feel like they need to do more.
Yeah.
That's like there is an ambient like feeling of incompleteness with your training and the amount you're doing. But I think again, like the question to ask yourself is, how intense are my sessions? Because you can very easily, like, you have a leg day and you do it properly. If you basically no one trains legs properly unless you're Mike Israel. You are not training, probably not training to the intensity you could be. Because if you train legs to an RPE 8 every exercise, you'd be fucked. And you can maybe do it twice a week, but only if your training age is like 10 years. Most people can do that probably once a week.
Yeah.
And you only need to do that once a week. And so if you strip it back and actually zoom out a little bit and look at your sessions intensity and make sure that all your sessions are pointing towards the right aim, I guess, as well. And there's no, like we say, junk volume or anything that you're doing that's not conducive to whatever the aim is.
That's what I think. I don't know who it was, but I think this feeds on to the point of what I was saying, that like people wrongly assume that kind of more is better.
Yeah.
Whereas they're kind of blind to all the junk volume that they do. I'm not sure. I think it might have been Tom Platz that basically just did one leg session a day.
Tom Platz is the
but like he'd basically leave the gym disabled, like he wouldn't be able to walk.
He's like one set method. That's the kind of
idea. Yeah, basically.
So there's I think it is Tom Platz. There's a famous bodybuilder anyway who did popularise this method of one set. So he would go in the gym, he'd warm up, and he would do one set. But that one set has to be fucking all out. And the thing is, it's kind of good, like, almost thought experiment for you to do yourself. If you go in the gym and do this, you say, okay, I've got one set on squats here. So I think he would do a full body split. So he would do one exercise and one set per muscle group. So you go in, legs, okay, cool. I'm going to do hack squat. If you load a working weight on and say, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it until I fucking, like, literally can't do anymore.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how you get to 12 and you're like, oh, fucking hell, I'll probably have 8 more here. And then you're like, okay, sweet. I was working at a fucking RPE 2 for 10 years. And then, again, you go the same and you do like a chest press machine. You go the same intensity. You can probably have a program that does that 3 days a week. Take this away as well. If you want to like go and have a quick win, full body day, 3 days a week, but you take the piss with intensity. You're like creamed in every set. You're probably going to be making more gains than the guy doing push-pull legs 6 days a week.
Yeah, don't be deceived by people that say, "Oh, I train every day," you know, because like it's actually, if you got to unpack the intensity of their sessions.
100%, yeah. There's a massive thing. CrossFit's really bad for this because, as we spoke about before, CrossFit can be terribly programmed and can just be, I'm going to do shitloads of workouts. Well, those workouts are fucking just shit. So,
yeah,
great. And then the second part of the question. Do you want to go through that?
Oh well, fucking hell, yeah. So, the regret feeling that you could have done more. Just don't live in the past, I think. Because I've got stuff that I regret, but you can't do anything about it.
Are we talking about from a training perspective or from a life perspective here?
I think both.
Yeah, I guess. I think from a training perspective, having a program helps a lot with that because you can detach and just be like, well, and having trust in the process. So have a program programmed for you by someone you trust, or you know, if you're doing it yourself, then research enough so you know you're doing enough. And if you can just detach and be like, I'm going to follow this program and just be completely linear with it, then you're going to be more okay. The issue comes if you've got no guidance and got no structure, because then you're always going to be asking the question, chasing your tail, being like, I could do more here. Should I be doing more? And then from a kind of life perspective, opportunity cost is going to exist regardless of what you do. So there's always going to be shit you miss, but that you have to choose your regrets, don't you? That's the quote, I guess. You're always going to fucking miss stuff, because us sitting here doing the podcast now means we can't go to the gym. Like, that's just a fucking thing. You can't be in two places at once. So you have to choose what you want to do and what you want to miss out on. Because if you think about what you want to miss out on, then you can oftentimes figure that that's going to be probably less of an important thing for you. And that's all individual to everyone, isn't it? But opportunity cost exists. That's just a fact of life.
Social media is so bad for this.
Yeah.
Because you smash a workout or you get a new PR, you load up TikTok and you see someone lifting like 3 times as much as you.
Yeah.
Or you see him doing a 5K like 5 minutes quicker than you.
Yeah, and then you're always thinking, well...
And then you're always just fuming because you're like, well, I'm never going to be them.
And also, with that, I guess taking into consideration the fact that these things, certainly with fitness, most things really don't happen overnight. Like, you seeing, like say, you hit a PR 5K, 20 minutes, you see someone hit 18 minutes. You go in and run in 7 times next week doesn't make you hit 8 minutes. you have to do that for fucking 3 years. Like, that has to be a really long process. You can't just do more in a week and expect the result from it. So you have to commit to a process.
And also, it's relative as well, isn't it? Like, if this bloke who's running like a fucking 15-minute 5k is like 6'3" and weighs 4 stone wet through, you know, he's probably going to have a pretty quick 5k.
Yeah.
If you're like 90 kegs.
Yeah. And there's also
like,
training age. Like, he might have just been doing it for longer. That's it. Like, you know, you might have just been training for 6 months. Great. He might have been training for 6 years. Probably going to be a bit better than you. Like, it's just
there's loads of variables at play.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just take a random reel or TikTok that you see at face value and be like, well, I'm worthless because I haven't done that.
And I need to do more. But it might just be the fact that they've done it for longer. You just got to commit to a process for longer. There's also a lot of things people don't. There's a lot of fucking thing we can go into here. But like, the last thing I'll say is generally people don't commit to a program for long enough. And again,
so many people.
That's social media, but it's an issue because
which the grass is always greener, isn't it?
Yeah,
Again,
it's
it's like
like program over there.
It's
Shiny
like, I'm
thing.
going to jump on this program, and then 2 weeks down the line, even though you're progressing well on it, you're like, oh well, so and so's told me that their program's going to get me more results, so I'm going to do that instead. Whereas actually, if you just stuck to the original program, in the long term, you would get more benefits.
Yeah, oftentimes the most basic program done well is better than the best program ever. If you do it for 2 weeks, then change, then do it for 2 weeks, and change, you're never going to get anywhere.
The key is actually sticking to it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, yeah, the program you can stick to is the better one. And I say, if you can attach trust to that process and just remove yourself, remove any ego, remove any kind of attachment to doing any more, then hopefully you should see some results.
Actually, we'll jump ahead here actually because this is a similar question, so we might as well tackle it at the same time.
Okay.
What is your biggest failure and how did you overcome it? It's for both of us apparently.
Biggest failure. It's interesting. Don't know. There's a few. There's a few, I guess. There's one I spoke about before was in Royal Marines training, which was kind of a little blip actually. I guess it was either failing Baptist run was a bigger one, which is like a criteria exercise that you have to pass, and then failing bottom field pass outs. They're two like training examples, which are quite stressful in the moment because in the moment you think it's all encompassing everything. Like that's all that matters.
It's not even really a failure though, is it? It's more of a learning curve because it's only a failure if you then fucking give up on it.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah. If you continue to try something, you haven't yet failed, have you? You've just missed the mark a little bit. It's the same. So one failure probably was the RAF PTI thing, which I don't think I've spoke about too much, but I essentially failed the psychometric test for the RAF PTI role. Just as I was transitioning out.
Which is bollocks. I mean, let's not go into it too much, but it's more a reflection of their terrible recruitment process than it is of you not being up for the actual job.
No, true. I think it is for anyone who doesn't know, it's like a maths and English and fucking science test and a memory test for a PTI role, which is meant
the fucking mechanical reasoning that gets me.
Yeah, which is absolutely wild. And there was a shapes one as well. What the fuck's that about? Anyway, so I kind of revised for it, did whatever, and then because a RAF PTI isn't a priority role, I sat it, missed the mark by like fucking 2 marks, and then would have had to resit it in 12 months' time. I just wasn't prepared to do that. So that was an example where I failed something and didn't try again. So that is a kind of failure, I guess. But how did I deal with it? I had like I had a pre-frame. Beforehand, I had like a split that I was going to do. So I knew, okay, pass it, happy days, I'm going to go down this route. Fail it, cool, still, I'm going to go down this. So I kind of bulletproof myself a little bit. So and you can kind of do that before things if you're worried about it. Like you have an ideal route, which means you pass the thing and you do whatever, and a plan B almost that you're also happy with. And so that was for me to leave the Corps and do what I'm doing now. So this is plan B, guys.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to take plan B.
Yeah. So exactly, and it kind of pans out. You're always going to make things work, I think, if you're of a certain mindset. Ed?
Ooh, see, I was thinking about this earlier. I know you've just done it on the spot. Kudos to you. I don't really have any massive failures because I mean, we all take stuff on and then don't follow through with it. But in terms of kind of like massive stuff, because I'm of the mindset where I'm either kind of all in or all out, if I agree to do something, I normally follow it through. It's more regret for me.
Of not doing stuff.
Because the downside of having that mindset is because initially...
You don't commit to stuff.
Because initially you're not fully in, you then actually miss out on quite a lot of opportunities. So, like, talked about it before, but university was one where I didn't move away for uni.
Yeah.
Sitting in a public sector job for so many years because like I didn't want to fucking kind of jump ship. Basically, that's another one.
Yeah.
So there's ones like that, but it's not necessarily like a failure. It's more like regret. And
is that a learning for you to go forward, as in like try more shit? Because if you like extrapolate this out over a long enough time period, there's a lot of missed opportunities there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there is.
There's a few here, right? But there's a few in fucking last 7 years. If you go 30 years down the line and there's still that, there's a lot of shit.
I think I'm getting there. I think being around you more helps. I think I made more of those decisions that I've then come to regret in periods when you necessarily weren't about, because like we've said before, we balance each other out in terms of like I'm a bit more apprehensive, you're a bit more gung-ho.
Yeah, it's true.
So if I'm with you, chances are we'll do it.
Yeah,
whereas I'll
point.
just convince myself it's not worth it.
You'll talk yourself out of it or whatever. Yeah, that makes sense. I probably do lean in the other direction. I think in terms of I think try it, see what happens. that's my sort of philosophy, which is good and bad.
Which is good because we kind of cancel each other out, because then we will come to kind of like the best solution, really.
Yeah, exactly. I will always err on the side of let's do it, and that all the time isn't the best idea.
It's good because you're like, you come forward with the big plan,
the
bravado, and then I come with the terms and conditions. It's like I bring the contract.
Yeah, you bring the contract. That's true. And from like multiple different kind of standpoints, but from like a business standpoint, or from like a fitness event thing, whatever, or like a planning the year deal, that mix of standpoints helps, I think. But I would always say, again, that's the reason I think the way I do is just because I fear missing out on loads of opportunities. That's the reason I think the way I do, because I fear that the other route.
Yeah. What I will say, just to end though, is just whether it's regret or failure, don't dwell on it, because you can't do anything about it now.
Well, yeah, learn from it.
Yeah.
like use it as a learning. I don't really know what I've learned from the RAF thing. Maybe, I don't know. I prepped pretty well, I thought. I think the thing I did learn is probably whichever route you go down, again, thinking a certain way and being a certain amount of, like, showing a certain amount of optimism will probably lead you in a decent direction, regardless of what happens. So that's kind of a little bit of a frame you can take rather than anything else.
Well, I think what you can take from that is to deploy another Rory Sutherlandism. The opposite of a good idea sometimes is another good idea.
Yeah, correct.
So it made sense for you to go into the RAF as a PTI, but equally made sense for you to just be
a PT,
and it's worked out for you.
It's worked out so far. I mean, the thing is, I had fucking like no plan for this to be the case. If you'd have asked me when I was in that situation that week when I put my chit in, okay, you're 2.5 years down the line, wherever we are, 3 years down the line, what was going to be the case? I would fucking not had an idea. Honestly, I would have had no idea. I was flirting with the idea of going to uni. I was flirting with the idea of moving away. I was like, no clue. So I didn't even know what PT jobs look like. I was like, how's it work? Do you pay rent? Do you do work for someone else? I don't know what was going on. So
I don't think many people really understand what we do. I mean, the listeners do, because we go off about it. Yeah. But in terms, I'm on about like family and friends who talk to me about it, because they still just think of like a conventional like gym floor PT. Yeah,
I didn't know how that worked. So I mean, that was like a little bit of a thing. But I was comfortable with how a PTI in the military worked, because I'd seen it and I'd done it, and so whatever. Yeah.
But yeah. There you go. We've fucking gone into depth there.
Good.
Right, we'll rattle through these now. Who's got the bigger cock? It's the kind of hard-hitting journalism you can expect from the Brummy Brothers.
That's a context switch.
From deep, insightful, kind of thought-provoking conversation around future, and reflection.
Yeah.
Who's got the biggest fucking chopper?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Don't know. But you can't judge on flop, can you? You know.
No.
Are we not going to do the opposite on live air? Unfortunately, guys.
That's for the Patreon coming soon.
Yeah. There's a video actually in that's a great way to start it. In Vegas. I think I showed you. It's fucking hilarious. This is, by the way, I should qualify this. This is years ago, guys. This is fucking.
It's grown since then.
I've grown since then. The point. This is 6 years ago, I think. I'm a young whippersnapper, and I was in the cubicle with this lovely lady, and Jay had put an individual. I'd put
redact that name.
I'd put I don't know what it starts with. Had put his phone camera over the thing, and I'd only just realised it's on like flash as well. I only just realised I swing round and my chopper just follows
Is
around.
it one of them?
It's class. I've still got it. I'll show you.
Well, we should lean more into that now. You'd probably gain followers from that.
You
It
reckon?
did wonders for Tom Garrett.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you'll leak it. Jay will leak it. And,
We'll all be fucking. It'll all be predetermined, but we'll pose it as like an accident.
Great. It sounds good. Paints me in a great light.
Right. Here we go. This is
God.
definitely targeted.
Brilliant.
Thoughts on men? Thoughts on men using Viagra in bed when they don't need it, and the perceived social pressures men feel that they need to perform at a certain level sexually.
Interesting question. I again was with the guy I mentioned earlier, who I won't mention any names.
Right. Yeah. So you told me this. I know what you're on about.
And
Certain individual
people
who
use it pretty religiously. I've never used it. Have you used it?
No.
No. Apparently it's fucking class.
Despite a lot of recommendations.
Yeah. No. Apparently it's fucking sensational.
But right, yes, okay. This is like a poison chalice, isn't it? Because it's like you take it. It's amazing, and then you can never go back.
It's like the Not a Damn Chance burger in Austin. Right. It's exactly the same.
Viagra is the Nadak burger.
Yeah. So it's apparently like so good, and then if you go back to shagging without it, it's just shit.
It feels like you missed a softy top again.
Yeah, and you know exactly how that feels.
I am the original Mr. Whippy.
So I don't know what was the question? What's the
right? Okay,
how do you feel about?
It was a two-parter, wasn't it?
Okay.
It was basically, what are your thoughts on blokes who use it when they don't need it? You know,
what do you mean when they don't need it?
So if they don't actually have an erectile dysfunction, so they basically just use it to get a massive stonk on.
I mean, do what you want, but fucking.
There's a thing with Viagra. You're not supposed to take it when you're pissed, right?
Are you not?
No, you're not supposed to
Surely
take it when you
that's
drink.
the time you would take it.
But I think blokes do it, which probably fucks you up.
Is that like an actual thing, or is it just like when you take paracetamol when you're drunk and nothing happens?
I don't know, because I've never done it. I know people, anecdotally, that have taken it drunk, and I think it still worked for them. I don't know whether it fucked them up.
I don't know if it couldn't. It's not like a psychoactive thing. So I think the only thing I've heard is it can make you like lightheaded, make you like kind of head rush or whatever. But who cares about that? I think if you want to fucking take it. It's, I guess, probably just know that it probably does ruin the experience for you afterwards, having not taken it.
It's just like once you go there, you can never go back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just go into it with that perspective, because I wouldn't take it because I don't need it, and I don't think it would serve any purpose. But I think and if you do need it, fucking use it.
I don't think we can answer the second part of the question, to be honest.
What was the second
I think
part?
we need a woman, which obviously isn't going to happen on this podcast.
What was the second part?
The perceived societal pressures men feel that they need to perform at a certain level. I think you have to ask a woman whether they actually
think that.
Yeah.
Well, there's a self-imposed pressure.
Yeah, and I think that 100% exists, because I feel that.
Yeah, whether it's
I think all blokes feel that, but
I think that's a normal thing, isn't it? Like.
But my question is, are birds actually that bothered that you're like a Lothario, or is it more about like showing effort?
I don't know. I think
to a certain extent, like
I think you obviously the girl wants to fucking enjoy the experience. So if it's like, fucking hell, what you fucking doing down there? You know what I mean? Like,
is it in yet?
Yeah, that'd be shit, wouldn't it? Right? So no one wants that.
But at the same time, I don't think they're expecting a porn star. Is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I think blokes now have unrealistic expectations of what women expect them to do because they just watch copious amounts of porn.
Yeah, true. I think that's obviously a thing. It's a bit of a warped expectation from pornography, which is never going to be
It's not good.
never going to be productive, is it? But I don't know. There's always the pressure. I think just I don't know. There's a because the bloke wants to perform, right? And so does the woman probably. Like, you're always going to be in that situation. Well, 9 times out of 10, you'll be in that situation with someone you want to impress. Whether you want to impress them with, you know, fucking watches or how much money you spend on dinner or whatever, but you're always going to be in that situation wanting to impress that individual. So that is part of that equation. Yeah. You don't want to go in there and be, you know, fucking shit, and then they're like, well, I never wanted that with you again. Like, that's not what anyone wants. So I think there is a pressure, but I think it's self-imposed more than anything else. And I think there's no real getting around that. How do you deal with the society? That was the question. How do you deal with the societal pressure?
Well, no, it was just what are our thoughts on it. It wasn't how to deal with it. We might as well try and give them some advice. I
think this probably comes from, I don't want to make any assumptions, but it comes from a individual who feels the pressure to a point where they now can't perform. That would link the 2 points together, right?
I think that's the thing as well. I think you can.
Oh, yeah. You can think your way out of it.
It's all in your head. He's lost his head.
You can think your way out of it 100%.
Which is mad, actually. That mind-cock connection.
Yeah, no, it is. The mind-cock connection. That's fantastic.
That's mad, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's all part of it, isn't it? Because you've got to be.
How do you rewire your Corey?
Well, I don't know. Have you found a way?
Tried everything, mate. Bleach, Swarfiga, don't work.
I don't know. I think something that may help, depending on what they mean by perform, depending on what that means, is a little amnesty from touching yourself. I reckon that would probably help.
That's
right?
a good shout. No porn, no fap.
Yeah, genuinely, because if you're just like constantly fucking smashing it, mate, then when the opportunity presents itself, you're probably not going to be that arsed. Whereas if you're fucking like chomping at the bit, for want of a better word, it's probably going to be okay.
I think that works on both the physical and mental level, doesn't it? Because I think physically, obviously, if you're celibate, you got to build up down there. So you're good to go.
Good to go.
Not you haven't got to cut like a pepperami.
Yeah.
And then mentally, obviously, you kind of give yourself a breather from watching copious amounts of porn, so you don't have all of these unrealistic expectations going through your mind.
And also, there's an element of kind of maturity, but also honesty, I think, between the two parties, because a lot of times, and this comes from actually being with someone who isn't just like a one-night stand or someone you actually fucking want to be with. So communicate and fucking figure out what each other wants, because it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
And if that communication isn't going down, then it's a little bit of like it's a guessing game, innit? And then it can inspire anxiety, which
I think this is where like one-night stands can be problematic as well, I guess, because it is just purely sexual then as well, isn't it? There isn't really that communication and trust
or connection.
Yeah.
It's like
that could be another thing.
True. You
don't
can
just bag off on a night out.
Well, yeah, you can be like physically attracted to someone, but if you're not connecting on a emotional, I know for girls that probably makes a bigger difference, but I think for blokes as well, then you can struggle to perform because there's fucking nothing there, is there?
No. So should we spin the Viagra origin dit while we're here as well? Another Rory Sutherland.
Yeah,
this is another good example of the opposite of a good idea. Sometimes
this is a fantastic
good
example
idea.
Of that, yeah.
So originally Viagra was developed. Well, I say Viagra. That's like the brand name, isn't it?
Yeah.
I forgot what the actual fucking drug is called. It was developed as an angina medicine, wasn't it? So It was like a heart medication.
Heart meds, yeah.
And they trialled it, I think, in like Merthyr Tydfil or somewhere in like South Wales.
No one needs it done.
And then like blokes would come in for like their weekly checkup, and like there was two things. So like nurses would notice that they were sitting really awkwardly, and then when it came to the end of the trial and they asked for the drugs back, no one handed anything in.
Yeah.
So like I think the German company that was trialing it scrapped it. in that very
Right.
kind of German way.
Yeah.
Because like, they
didn't
set
do the
out
actual job, then fuck it.
in a very kind of like logical, rational German thinking way of we have tried to do this and it has not worked.
Yeah,
Gone.
yeah, it's
and
gone.
then I think another company picked it up and thought this is fucking great.
Yeah,
there's
well,
loads of
just brand it.
there's loads of blokes who can't get a stonk on,
Yeah.
and this gives them one.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that's true. So it was pushed and trialed as one thing. It made something else happen. So they were like, let's fucking just monetize that instead.
And right,
Sounds
I've
good.
got some good stats here as well. You know, the US military spend $41 million every year on Viagra.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
They're
That
keeping
makes
their
no
fucking
sense.
troops well stocked, mate.
That's mad. Because there's females in the US like Marines and stuff as well.
Yeah, it's a fuck nose.
Can girls use Viagra?
I don't know.
What would
as
happen?
as an angina medication?
Well, what would happen?
I don't know. What does Viagra actually do?
It makes you mega horny, I think. So probably just the same for birds.
I thought it like increases blood flow. So I
to
think
that specific area.
So I think anginas. The
Maybe.
condition of angina is when you're not getting enough blood
That
to
would
the
make
to the
sense,
muscles in your heart.
Okay.
So I think it like basically improves blood flow by like I don't know diluting your blood vessels or something.
Probably.
Dunno, I'm not fucking bothered.
redirecting shit, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So I think that's
that would make
maybe why you're
sense.
not supposed to drink with it. I wouldn't know. I
And
can't.
then
I can't
and
make
then-
that leap.
Yeah,
though.
and then combined with the situation of being in a romantic situation, then it obviously directs blood in a certain way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there you go. The origins of Viagra.
There you
God,
go.
we're giving you everything today.
Great.
Right, we've done the cock one. Roughly, how long would it take you to train someone from couch to sub 20-minute 5k?
Completely dependent on the individual.
You can't answer that
But-
really, can you?
Give you an idea, quite a long time.
Gen Pop, if you've never really taken up running before, you don't have a background to it. Fucking ages.
It'll take a long time, yeah. If you were only doing that, maybe not that long, but you think someone from couch can't even run 5k?
Exactly. So like, how long? So like, my beginner running program's 8 weeks. Isn't the couch to 5k the same?
Probably, yeah. So you're getting...
So there's
you can,
8 weeks.
You can
and that's-
run 5k in 8 weeks, but then you've got to get your time down. Below like 25 minutes is doable for most people pretty easily, I think.
You
Below
could
20 is fucking quick.
if you're kind of like not overweight and in decent
And you play
physical
sport.
shape and you play sport anyway, you could probably do couch to 5k in whatever 8 weeks, and then if you did like a normal running program for another 8 weeks, then you could get a sub 20-minute 5k.
So
No, I
there-
mean sub
there's
25-minute 5k.
There's 16 to get sub 25.
But
and
then,
you'd
but like
probably-
the more you shave off that 25-minute, the harder it gets.
Oh yeah, so
So hard.
shaving like 30 to 25 is probably the equivalent of shaving 25 24.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and then 24 20 to 23.
Because when you
whatever.
start breaking the splits down for kind of like sub 22 minutes, it's fast.
Yeah. So in the 21s is pretty quick. Anything below 7-minute miles is quick.
Yeah.
Which is like 21 something.
So should we give them a number? How long do you reckon?
You're probably looking at 9 months to a year, probably.
I would say a year.
Yeah,
I reckon. If you
It depends on the person.
If
doesn't
you
it?
just basically like committed a lot of time and energy into it, and it was like your sole focus,
Yeah, because you could do like more runs a week. You could do like 4 or 5 runs a week. By the end, you'd probably be there.
and assuming that you didn't kind of like
Injure
pick up a
yourself.
serious injury or something.
Yeah, you could run around a track and have good shoes. Like all these things.
Right. So here is the only kind of vaguely Royal Marine related question, but I left it in
Okay.
'cause it's funny. Harry, if Eddie was plunged into Royal Marines training, do you think he would be able to handle the physical aspects of it, say the full 32 weeks? Love the pod. I'll let you go first, because I've got my own opinion.
So, in your current state or having trained,
Let's do now. Right, let's do now when I'm a sack, and let's say like when you joined.
oh, so you when I joined, you mean?
Yeah, I reckon,
Okay.
because we're the same age.
Okay. I don't really know what physical standards you were in then. Were you good at running by then? Was that
No.
your no? Was okay?
Not really, but let's just say I was more bendy and malleable at that age. So now,
Okay,
right. So
so
there's
I
no
think-
prizes for saying that I'm fucked now.
Well, yeah. Well, you're picking up a few injuries, right? I don't know. I think physically, potentially, you could make it through in the position you are now. I think maybe with a little more focus on like running, because running hasn't been there this year. has it?
Basically, right. I've just never prioritised running enough
No.
to even really
No.
consider it. To be honest, I've always been too heavy.
Do you think you can make the entrance standards right now?
Probably if I trained for it.
No, right now.
Oh, right
Tomorrow.
now. What is it?
Like 10.8 on the bleep test.
No.
Okay. Yeah, so probably not then, is the answer. Because that
was my answer.
That obviously is a proxy for being able to do the rest of it. So you have to be you have to be doing a few fucking miles a week, to be honest. Like, by the end of your prep, you want to be at least 20 mile a week, at the very least, I would say.
Yeah.
Depending on what other cardio stuff you're doing. But, like, 20 miles a week is pretty base level because you're going to be going in and doing shit ton of steps every day, like a shit ton of camp circuits and sprints and all the rest of it. So if you're just like physiology isn't ready for that, then you're going to get injured, and you're also just not going to fucking feel great. When you were younger, again, having had put in like a bit of running, like you probably could physically. Anyway, I think psychology you'd struggle just because you struggle with like authority stuff and like not doing stuff for no reason.
Yeah, it's kind of anyone that knows me knows that I'm not really cut out for the military from the psychological perspective.
Particularly like infantry roles, because there's a lot of like bullshit in the initial phases and in like the first 15, 16 weeks, even all the way through. But like the first 16 weeks, there's loads of stuff you just do because they tell you to do it, and there's no rationale. There's no fucking like. There's no corporal. This is a better idea. Can we do this? Nah. Like,
it's called it's critical thinking, isn't it?
There's fuck all.
Yeah.
Well, it's just not. Not that there's not a place for it, because there kind of is in certain elements, but
not in training.
No, there is in like soldiering. It's a huge thing when you get to like the second phase. First phase, when you're just looking at, okay, these people are civilians now. We need to break them into the military. There's not a lot of that because you have there's no place for it. Okay, we're gonna make you fucking fuck up all your kit basically and make you hand wash it all. Well, that makes not really a lot of sense, does it, on the grand scheme of things? But there's obviously a broader reason for that, and so I think you probably struggle with that element.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's no surprise to anyone really. The kind of like an infantry role isn't suited to my personality type.
Well,
I think when I was younger, I probably could have handled the physical side of it safe. When you started training, I stopped basically being a fucking meathead and did what you did. I think physically I could have handled it, but then again, I still would have struggled.
You were a bit of a libtard back then as well, weren't you? So.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just not aligned with kind of my values at the time.
Yeah.
And it's still not really. Like, I still don't think that it doesn't suit my personality type, basically.
No, I don't think it probably does. And I think it is just a little bit of a little bit too much of a culture change potentially for your personality type. Because I was very much indoctrinated even before I got in.
Yeah.
I was like watching all the fucking YouTube stuff. I knew kind of what to expect, the style of it anyway. So by the time I got there, I was like, oh, sweet.
We've spoken about this before. I would love to do like a bit of a thought experiment. Well, not a thought experiment, an actual experiment. A practical experiment by putting me through like army basic training or something, like a no strings attached. You literally just basically do training.
Yeah.
And then get through it and then leave. Like, you're not actually joining the army. I'd like to do that. I think that would be fun.
It'd be interesting, yeah.
But I have no real aspirations of actually joining the military.
Yeah, which would probably undo the actual training element anyway, because you have to have a little bit of a
it's like,
reason to do.
What's your why?
Yeah,
because
exactly,
like it's gonna be like large portions of it are gonna be shit. So unless you have a why, you will just fuck it off.
It's like Richie said at the seminar, it's all fucking miserable. Like
that's mad.
Lads, if you're going into this, it's all shit.
And this is the other thing as well, right? So I think when I was younger, it didn't align with my values anyway, and I realised that. Now, having kind of ended up surrounded by veterans, all I hear about them is them dripping.
Yeah, I mean, training certainly is that. It's just fucking shit. But there are elements. There are obviously like bits on the weekends and stuff like that where it's decent, and you maybe like you shoot a gun for the first time or whatever, and it's good. But like the majority, you're wet, cold, and threaders.
Yeah.
And you hate being cold as well, like proper cold.
And I hate being wet.
Yeah, I mean, you're a beef with that. So.
Exactly, there you go.
Yeah.
If you can take anything from that, it's I'm a beef.
Yeah. Is that it?
Now we've got one more.
Okay.
Would you start doing travelling/exploring videos? I think these would be really good and also relatable. Not sure how relatable being in a beach club in Bali is, but I mean,
super relatable.
I'm open to it.
If you're going to bankroll it, no. I don't know. Well, obviously I've been away.
I think they mean in terms of like as a podcast thing, not in terms of like our own channels.
Well, we've done.
I guess we kind of
done
did
bits of that, haven't we?
We did with Interrailing, and then we made a fair few episodes about
Austin.
Texas. But I think they actually mean diversify away from podcast episodes and be like
Vlogging it. Nah, probably not. I don't think so. I think
not if we were in charge of it. If we had the luxury of having someone to do the production side of it for us and edit it, then yes.
Yeah,
but
true.
it's just too much work.
It's
basically.
too much hassle. I think as well, like, yeah, you say it's not relatable, is it? Like it's not. You think it is, but after a few, it'd just be jarring because they'll be like, right, why are these fuckers just out in Chiang Mai doing fucking? Like,
yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So it'd just be jarring. But I don't think there's much of a market for that. And I always see socials as a bit of an education sphere versus because I feel like what do I want to consume, and most of that is trying to, in a way, it sounds wanky, but better myself in some respect. So I try and emulate that in what I put out.
Yeah, I would. We've had the idea of doing little vox pops before, haven't we?
Yeah,
you know, so if we go somewhere, we'll like do little maybe street interviews. With
yeah,
people.
that's cool.
I
that's
think,
fine. Yeah.
I think that could be good content.
It's interesting because it's like it's different cultures and
I like interacting with the general public, especially when you're kind of posing them like random questions.
Yeah,
I think that
except
could be
in
good.
America.
Except when I'm in America, in which case I will straight up refuse to speak to anyone.
That'd have been funny. Yes.
But yeah, in terms of kind of we don't have any mental trips planned, so that limits our scope in terms of fucking travel vlogs.
Yeah, true.
and B, like you said, it's not really what we're about.
No, I think there's plenty of people who do that and do that well. So, let's do what we do well. I think, like, it would be
gobbing off in my shed.
Well, yeah, we do that better than it would be just cuffed. It would be just shit, wouldn't it, I think.
Yeah, it would.
So yeah, probably not, unfortunately.
Well, that's it.
There we go.
And
Job
on that,
done. Very diverse episode there, but hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, this will be like 18th of thing, won't it? 18th of March. So it'll be this is the next one we're posting.
So
right?
you're listening to this on the 18th now.
If you're listening on Monday. And then the following one will be not a Q&A, something different. So.
Well, it's all on long distance running.
Yeah.
So if you're training for anything from a 5k upwards to an ultra, effectively, then tune in because there'll be some good little nuggets of information.
Something to take away for sure. And we'll have just done the Liverpool half marathon, so we'll be fresh off the press. How about that?
Yeah, so we'll both have a medal, and I'll probably be in a cast.
Yeah, and I'll be probably still on the course from pulling my hamstring, trying to chase Dave around.
Live from the ICU. It's good because you've outed his dad now as well.
That's all right. No one knows. He's world famous, mate, in the running community. Right, cool. Happy days. Thanks for listening, people.
Thank you for listening. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.